Welcome to Woman on Her Path. Every woman has her own unique path. But what does that mean? How does said woman know what her path is? How does she find the courage to follow her path? I am your host, Tiffany Cooper. I am a mother, energy worker, community herbalist, and bhakti yogi. By sharing my experiences and insights on my path, I hope to inspire and encourage you on yours. When we follow our path, we find the answers we need in life. Let's find answers together and create a better world for ourselves and those around us. Good day, lovely listeners, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Woman on Her Path. I am that woman, Tiffany Cooper, and I just wanted to take some time to introduce myself and this show. So where do I start? I guess I can start by saying that I'm a single mother of 3 beautiful grown-up children. I'm an energy worker trained in shamanism, and I'm also a Reiki master. I'm an energy reader who uses several modalities to do my work. And I'm a community herbalist who is constantly honing my craft. I also teach yoga asana, the physical practice of yoga. And in addition, I'm a practitioner of bhakti yoga, a devotee of Krishna. Now, the podcast. What is this show all about? Woman on her path. So let's break that down. So woman, this show is not meant to be just about me. It's also meant to be about you or any woman who may be listening. The show is about not just me as a woman, but how my life and experiences mirror the lives and experiences of other women. I will discuss issues related to womanhood in different aspects and stages. Her, a pronoun denoting ownership. I chose to call the show Woman on Her Path rather than The Path because we all have our own path that is unique to us. Our paths may connect or be similar to other women's paths, but ultimately, the path that we must follow in life has to be our own. Path, our path. What is a path? A path is our way of progressing in life. And if we follow the path that's right for us, we learn and grow. If we follow a path that isn't right for us, we put ourselves in a precarious position and or end up nowhere. We come to a dead end, and hopefully we get a chance to start again. As a little girl, I was always drawing trees, while all the other girls were making pictures of houses complete with families, cars, and pets. For a little while, I tried to do the same so as not to seem different, but my fingers would not cooperate. So I went back to drawing my trees. The same girls talked about one day walking down aisles dressed in long satin white gowns with flowing lace veils, while I dreamt of flying with the breeze. Humanity is in the midst of a crucial transition in our history. All of the social structures that we have built in the last 5,000 years are beginning to crumble. The time has come for us to create something new, yet so many are still holding on to the past. And of course, when we do that, when we hold on to a past that is no longer serving us, that past is ripped away. We have all, both men and women, been operating through our masculine energy while ignoring or subduing, even belittling our feminine energy. We simply cannot allow one to dominate the other. We must bring them into balance. They are the perfect complement for each other. When they work together, they are a force to be reckoned with. Now, can you imagine if we lived in a world where things like connection, community, nurturing, emotional intelligence, creativity, liberation, things like that were respected? For many women in America right now, where this podcast is being recorded, things feel particularly raw, and many feel powerless. Our children, those precious little beings that we carry within our own wombs and then give birth to, are being massacred in schools, and it seems there is nothing we can do about it. Even if our children are not direct targets of such tragedies, they are still living with the knowledge that they could be. They participate in active shooter drills in schools, which I completely agree are necessary. But how does that make them feel? What does that say to them? As adults, the most basic thing that we should do for children is to protect them physically from avoidable harm. A basic need for children is to feel safe. What are we doing to our children mentally and emotionally, and why? What kind of adults will they become after growing up under such conditions? Also, as women in the U.S., we have recently lost a legal right, a federal right. The reversal of Roe v. Wade, whether you are pro-choice or anti-abortion. You realize that we have lost a particular right to make decisions about our own bodies and perhaps the body of another being or a possible child. For many women, that is frightening. Will this lead to more rights being taken away? How do we prevent victims of rape and incest from having to go through the trauma of giving birth to a baby that was conceived through such horrifying means? How does one raise a child to be healthy and happy under such conditions? For both issues, mass murder of our children with guns and women losing their right to make decisions about their own bodies. I mean, I could spend at least an hour sharing my opinions on how there are things that we could do to resolve them. And of course, I have many opinions on these subjects. However, all of my solutions, in quotation marks, come from my perspective. They work based on my knowledge and my experience. My solutions fit very comfortably into my view of the world. My solutions may not work for your mentality, emotional bandwidth, ego, etc. As an aside, I was recently in the UK and I had a taxi driver who was from another European country. And when he realized I was American, he started going on about political situations here. And, I agreed with almost nothing he said, but I let him talk. I even marveled to myself at how much he thought he knew about this country when he has never stepped foot here. His perspective was based on what he has seen on the news or heard from others, so it was totally secondhand. He also came from a country whose culture is very different from American culture. He and I had very little in common superficially. He thought he was very sure of what he was saying. And anything that I would have said that was counter to his thoughts or opinions would not have been heard by him. At one point, I did say something like, "Are you always so negative? Let's look at it in a more positive light and see the possibilities that can come from that." And so that managed to stop him from, spewing on his soapbox. But I don't know how much it changed his mind. So getting back to our issues and my solutions, ultimately, each and every one of us has to think for ourselves and decide how we want to help affect positive change. For some, it will be things like getting involved politically, protesting, running for an office, pressuring current elected officials. For others, it will be things like taking their children out of school and homeschooling, or getting together with other women to provide transportation for women who cannot afford to go elsewhere for medical care. Whatever works best for you. There are many valid ways to help in any situation, and all should be welcome. We all have particular abilities, skills, talents, and we all have them in ways that other people do not. So let's learn to pull them together and deal with solutions in a more complete way. Let's tackle problems from every angle using the energy and resources of many. Let's work together in the best way we individually know how. And actually, I will share one solution. And that answer is to raise our own individual consciousness. Because we cannot raise anyone else's. We can help them find the tools to do so, but ultimately they have to do the work themselves. If we are all, or even if most of us, are coming from a place of higher consciousness, we could not do things like harm other beings or ravage our planet, making it uninhabitable for ourselves, or neglect our own health, or even put people in positions of power who are not fit to be there. Wiser, connected, happy, humble, peaceful, and compassionate individuals create healthy societies. So now let's talk about you, woman. What are you doing to raise your consciousness? What books are you reading? Who are you spending time with? What are you putting in your body? What pursuits are you lending your time to? All of those things feed into our consciousness. So actually, what is consciousness? Let's define it. So according to the Oxford American Dictionary, consciousness is the fact of awareness by the mind of itself and the world. So I'll read that again. The fact of awareness by the mind of itself and the world. That's an interesting definition from the Oxford American Dictionary. It's lending consciousness to the mind. Yeah, this definition is about the mind. And of course, it's not only the Oxford Dictionary, the Oxford American Dictionary, that defines consciousness in that way. Consciousness has become a very big topic of study, particularly since the early 1990s. So it's something that's definitely being looked at. And in many places, you will find that the discussion is all about the mind. However, in Bhakti, my spiritual practice, we understand that consciousness is actually a symptom of the presence of the soul. So it's a symptom of the presence of your soul. It is a companion, so to speak, of your soul. So those are just a couple of, I think, are kind of the main definitions that are out there of consciousness. So now that we have a little more understanding of where I'm going with this, I can go back to what I asked in the beginning. What are you doing to raise your consciousness? Because again, if our consciousness is raised, if we raise our own individual consciousness, then if everybody's working on doing that, then we create a better society. And so, of course, our consciousness, our awareness of ourselves internally and externally and the external world around us, of course, that's so connected to the stimulus around us. So again, what books are you reading? Are you reading something that's feeding your consciousness, that's expanding your consciousness or deepening your consciousness? What are you watching? What kind of movies are you watching? What kind of television are you watching? All of those things we are putting into our awareness. And it's like anything else in life. The more of one particular thing that you do or see or experience, the greater effect it has on you. And so it's important to be careful about what we put into our consciousness. Who are we spending time with? Who are we spending time with? That's always an important question, especially as adults. We don't like to think of it this way, but the people that we are around, we imbibe their qualities. We always, I'm a mother, so speaking as a parent, as parents, we always tend to, look at who our kids are hanging out with. And then we judge whether or not we want our children hanging out with them based on their consciousness. Who are these other children? What are they doing? How do they speak? How do they think? What influence are they having on my child? But for adults, it's the same thing. We are influenced by the people we're around. So who are we spending time with, our valuable time in life? Who are we giving that to? What are we putting in our bodies? That's a big one, especially for us as Americans. The typical American diet is not a very healthy one. And of course, everything that we eat affects our consciousness. And the way we eat it also affects our consciousness. Oftentimes in our busy world, we may be eating things that are just going to fill us up. We don't really think about what we're eating. Is that healthy? Is that fresh? Is that going to nourish my body? Or is it just going to give my tummy a feeling of being full? And as an energy worker, I can tell you that everything that we eat affects our consciousness because it has its own energy. Things like who's preparing what we eat affects our consciousness, because when we prepare food, our consciousness goes into that food. And when we're serving it to other people, they are ingesting our consciousness. They're taking in the energy of our consciousness. And of course, as we know, anything we put in the body affects us on a physical level, but it also affects us on an energetic level as well. And what pursuits are you lending your time to? What are you spending your time doing? You know, am I spending my time chasing after things that are not helpful to growing my consciousness? Am I spending my time, looking for things that are not going to be beneficial to me? What am I doing with my time? So all of those things really affect our consciousness in very big ways. So it's important to be conscientious and to be aware of our awareness, to be aware of our consciousness and how we're treating it, and making sure that we keep it healthy and that we continue to grow it, expand it in a positive way so that we can become better people. It's really that simple. And so now you may ask, okay, Tiffany, so you've told us all of these things about what we should be doing or what we can do to raise our own consciousness. What are you doing? So what am I doing? So I will share a little bit about my consciousness raising activities. And as I mentioned, I practice bhakti yoga, and part of that practice is having a daily sadhana. And so a sadhana is a daily spiritual practice. That's a very basic definition of it. And so in bhakti, what we do is we get up very early in the morning, every single morning, and we chant the Maha Mantra. And so that's the main thing that I do is I get up every morning. I get up early every morning, even when I'm traveling, and I do that quite a bit. I get up early and I chant the Maha Mantra, and it is such a liberating practice, and it brings me so much peace and so much strength, and sets the foundation for a beautiful day. It sets the foundation for my day so that I start my day in a way that's peaceful, in the mode of goodness, and also is growing my soul. It's helping my soul connect with something much higher than myself and what's in the world around me. The other thing I do after I chant is I study sacred texts. And that's also a very important part of my day because it's giving me so much knowledge and wisdom and practical knowledge about how to live as a conscious and conscientious and compassionate, loving human being. There's so much to learn from sacred texts, as long as you're learning them in the right way and from the right person. Yeah, there's so much out there, and there's so much misinterpretation of sacred texts that it turns people off, and we miss out on so much. So anyway, those are the two main parts of my sadhana. And as I said, I do them daily. And it has absolutely changed my life for the better. So I encourage you to take up your own sadhana, whether it's meditation or yoga, chanting, singing, reading and studying, something that will not only feed your mind, but most importantly, feed your soul. So let's talk about tarot cards. Yes, tarot cards. I'm shuffling mine as I speak. So, yeah, I've been reading tarot cards for many, 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 many years. And just recently, a friend of mine turned me on to the Radiant Rider-Waite. So, if you know anything about tarot cards, have you ever had your cards done? Anyway, if you know anything about tarot cards, you are familiar with Rider-Waite. They are the classic deck, and they are the deck that I have always preferred to use. I have many, many decks, but Rider-Waite has always been my favorite because it's classic. It's you get everything you need in a reading with those cards. However, as I mentioned, a friend turned me on to the Radiant Rider-Waite deck, and now I have been just obsessed with them. I love doing tarot readings. It's just fun. It's very basic. It's not, it's a basic way to read energy. I sometimes feel a little bit limited. I don't like to do readings using them because I feel like it's too limiting for me. However, as I said, this Rider-Waite tarot deck is really the Radiant Rider-Waite is lovely. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm actually laying down some cards because I'm going to do a reading, not just for myself, but for all of us, for myself and everyone who is listening right now. So, I just did a spread. I did a very basic spread. There are many you can do, but I prefer to use a really basic spread because it's not about laying the cards out or the configuration of laying them out. It's about what you're getting from them. It's just about the reading. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. At least I don't think it has to be anything fancy. So anyway, here we are. We have the cards laid out. And basically, my query to the cards was, what is it that we, as humanity, have to do? What is it that we have to do to kind of turn things around for ourselves? And so the first card that came up in this reading, I did a spread of just 6 cards. I like to sometimes use that as past, present, or future, or however the cards speak to me. I don't dictate to them; they tell me. So the first card that came up was the Devil, and that's representing the place that we have been in. It's actually the place that we're moving out of. And the next card. Oh, and let me explain the Devil. You can go out and buy a tarot book that will give you all the definitions of all of the cards, the major arcana and the minor. And of course, with every deck of cards that you buy comes a little booklet that explains what the meaning of each card. However, once you become experienced in using your cards and you connect with your cards, they will begin to speak to you the way that they want to speak to you. Again, you don't dictate to the cards, they tell you. So the cards are now telling me that we're moving out of this place of the Devil, where ugliness has the deep, dark ugliness that has been beneath the surface of humanity has finally come out. And maybe not all of it, but we've seen a significant amount of it. And we all knew it was there, but now it's on full display, or it has been. But now we're moving into a time of justice, and justice is the second card that came up. And justice for us is a time of balancing the scales. It's not about blame. Justice is not about revenge. Justice is about bringing things back into balance. So that's where we're heading into. It's a time that we've already moved into. It's a time that we're in the presence. The next card that came up is Knight of Pentacles. And again, you'll read all kinds of meanings for the Knight of Pentacles. But what this card is saying to me right now is that it is a time of, and this is the future, the time that we're going to go into. I'm getting, anyway, it's the time that we're going into the Knight of Pentacles. So we're just starting to move into kind of a magical phase, a phase that will open up all sorts of possibilities for us. And that's a big phase. It's something that we need to prepare ourselves for. And the way to prepare ourselves is to do things that keep us on our path. We have to stay on our path. We should never, ever, ever let anything take us off our paths. And so by staying on our path, and staying on your path means doing the things that in your heart and in your soul, you know are the right things to do. Now, the right thing for you to do may not be the same as the right thing for the person next to you to do. You have to do what's right in your heart and in your soul. You have to do the things that you are inclined toward that are positive and helpful to not just yourself, not just your family, but to as many people as possible. You know, we can't all save the world alone, but we can be beneficial to our little pocket or corner, or however you want to term it, your little piece of the world, the part of the world that you inhabit. And if we all do that, then we will naturally create a better world for all of us. So that's the phase that we're moving into, this Knight of Pentacles, showing that it is bravely coming in after lots of trials and tribulations. And we know what that's like. The next card that came up was the Hermit. And that's actually one of my favorite cards. And so we're taking this energy that has this magic that has come to us, and we're not just running out and just using it in the world. We're actually taking it and imbibing it. We're taking that energy inside of ourselves, and we're going to peaceful places in our lives, and we're sitting with that magic. We're sitting with that energy. And we're determining what it is that we need to do with it. So we're not just, flying by the seat of our pants, because this is too important a moment for all of us. This is a time where we need to really sit down and, from a place of peace, decide how we are going to move forward. So now the next card that comes up is the Hierophant. And this card is always so interesting. It's always such a mysterious card to me. I actually just had a really interesting conversation with a friend of mine about this particular card. We had this conversation about a month ago. And so we just kind of shared what the meaning of Hierophant was to us. And as I mentioned, to me, it's always been kind of a mysterious card because it says so much. A lot of people will have that basic read of, it has to do with religion and practicality and rules and ways of doing things. And I see it a little broader than that. And so in this particular reading, the Hierophant is saying that, after we peacefully and consciously take in that magical energy, that energy of change, that energy of creation, again, tapping into that feminine energy, we're going to take that, or what we need to do is take that, and as I mentioned in the last segment, use it to raise our consciousness. Use it to raise our consciousness. That's what that energy is all about for us. Then the card after the Hierophant, and this is our last card, is the Queen of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles has bravely brought us this energy. And our last card is the Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacles is the embodiment of the magic of that divine, that sacred feminine energy. That's where we need to move into. And as I mentioned earlier, that we all, as women and men, have both feminine and masculine energy. We both have it. But we have all been operating from a place of masculine energy. We've all been using our masculine energy to get things done. And it worked for a time, but now we've come to the end of that time, and we have to learn to work with our feminine energy. And that feminine energy is exactly what we need at this time in our history. You know, we've gone through a time of political unrest. We're still in that time. It isn't completely over, but it isn't certainly not at its pinnacle where it has been. We're finally going back down that hill. So we're in the time of political unrest. We're in social unrest. We're in, we're at the tail end of a pandemic, a global pandemic. We've been through some really difficult times, and the only way to heal from all of that and to bring us all together and reconnect everyone and bring back that sense of community that we have lost through all of this is to tap into our feminine qualities, our feminine energy. And part of those qualities, are about community. They're about nurturing. They're about connecting. All of those things are the things that we need right now. And so that's, according to these cards at least, that's where we're heading. We're heading into that time of using that beautiful energy that Knight has so bravely brought to us, using that energy to reach a higher level of consciousness by bringing into balance, uplifting that feminine energy so that it can come up and meet the masculine energy that we have used for so very long. How are you nurturing yourself? How are you nurturing yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? What are you doing to ensure that you are healthy, emotionally, mentally, and physically? Such an important question. Something that we all need to think about. As I mentioned in the introduction, I'm a community herbalist, and I love herbs. I love connecting with the earth in that way and using those magical gifts that Mother Earth, Pachamama, that she brings us. Every plant around us is some sort of medicine. It has some purpose. Everything on this earth has a purpose. And it is so remarkable that there's so much medicine out there just growing, just waiting for us to connect with it and to use it in a way that benefits us. We have this beautiful reciprocal relationship with nature, with the planet. We are part of nature. We're not separate from nature. And so everything that we need is out there. It's out there in the plant world. And when you begin to commune with nature, when you spend time just being present amongst trees, amongst plants, being out in the elements, and truly connecting and hearing the beautiful secrets that she has, that Mother Earth and that nature has to share with us, those secrets that she whispers in your ears when you're listening. When you connect with in that way, you begin to realize that we are connected to everything, everything in the universe. We are connected to it. And when you feel that connection, when you experience that connection, then you realize that everything is sacred, that we can't take anything for granted, that we can't waste anything, we can't harm anything, that it's all a part of us and we are a part of it. So, getting back to herbalism, getting back to working with herbs in a way that heals us. So incredible. And so I'd like to share just a few herbs with you that I have found to be very beneficial. And I know that many other herbalists have as well, whether we're using them, taking them, drinking them, eating them for ourselves, or we're offering them to others. Herbs are so very healing, and it's not just from a medical point of view. It's not that, I take this herb and it will affect me in this way, and that's the end of the story. No, there's so much more to it than that. Plants, again, are a part of the same system that we're a part of. And they not only heal us in a physical or medical way, but they also connect with us in a much deeper way. They connect with our spirit. They connect with our energy and our way of being. And so, again, I just want to share just 3 herbs with you that I encourage you to use in your daily life, to use them as much as you can when you see fit. So I want to keep it very basic, because that also is the beauty of herbalism to me, is that we don't have to create some fancy concoctions or mix a bunch of different herbs with all these interesting constituents, and we don't have to do that. We can keep it very simple and still experience so much healing. So the first herb I want to talk about is chamomile. And of course, we are all familiar with chamomile, right? Everybody knows of chamomile tea. Even if you don't drink it, your grandmother probably drank it, or you've heard of it. Everybody knows chamomile tea. And I wanted to start with chamomile because she's such a precious herb. As we all know, chamomile is a nervine. It's a relaxing herb. It calms. It creates a sense of peace. It's also a tonic herb. It strengthens and nourishes and enlivens the organs. So it's a really special herb that we get a lot of benefit from. It aids us in relaxation. It also has magical properties. So chamomile has been known to attract money, if that's something that you need or you're into. It prepares the body and the mind for magic. You can use it to wash your face and to wash your hair, and it will attract love. It's also been known, has been used for breaking curses. So I like to add the magic to it because it's just fun. It's just fun to look at those properties and to see, what these herbs have been used for. So yes, use chamomile for relaxation. I mean, it has other benefits as well. But because we are living in a time with lots of fear and anxiety, something as beautiful and as simple as chamomile tea, having a cup, every night before bed is just so beneficial. So I encourage you to try that. The next herb I want to talk about is lavender. And this herb, again, is a very well known herb. But like I said, I want to keep things simple. And this herb is actually very special to me. I have recently become a member of the Ancestral Nature Whisperers, this beautiful clan of healers, of nature and earth walkers of the Highlands of Scotland. And my name, the name that I was given within the clan, is Gentle Lavender. So I am humbled by that name because I'm not so sure that I can live up to it and that I fit that name. But I trust that I will grow into it because it was given not, not whimsically. It was given from a very deep process. So, lavender, it's a comforting herb. It's comforting for the stomach. As we know, it's an aromatic, meaning that it's very fragrant. I was just at Trader Joe's the other day and I had checked out and I was leaving the store and as I was walking out, they had the lavender right next to the door. It was actually in the vestibule after you go through the main doors. And I got out there and I got a whiff of the lavender and I grabbed two plants and went back into the store and bought them. So, lavender is an aromatic. It's very fragrant. And what that fragrance does is it relaxes you. And again, we're living in a time of lots of anxiety, lots of fear. And probably for many people that is expressing itself through upset stomach. And so lavender is a wonderful herb to take now. And again, with lavender, you can also drink it. You can drink it as a tea. You can actually mix lavender with other herbs to kind of because it's very rich in volatile oils, so it's very strong. And so what you can do if you'd like is you can mix it with another herb in a tea, or you can drink it straight, whatever feels most comfortable for you. But lavender oils are very nice to use as well. It's something that you can put on your temples before bedtime. You can massage it into the soles of your feet. That will also help relax you. So, lavender is just one of those lovely nervine herbs that calms and it also strengthens and tones the nervous system. Magically, lavender has been used in love spells, and it also has been helped with contacting spiritual beings. So, again, I just like to add the magical properties into it because it just adds a little bit of fun to the whole thing. Just gives you something to think about. And now the last herb that I would like to talk about is another one of my favorite. And I have used this one quite a bit with other people, with people who have come to me for herbal advice and recommendations and just help. And so this herb is called lemon balm. also known as Melissa. Melissa. And lemon balm is really, it's another nervine, so it's very helpful to calm and strengthen the nervous system. It is an herb that is really lovely because it relaxes the nervous system, but it doesn't dull. It doesn't dull you in any way. So it helps to reduce stress and nervous disorders. It's a sedative, so it's good for sleep as well. It's one of those herbs that has the fragrance of it is, it just enlivens you. It just makes everything brighter. Not just the fragrance, but when you drink it in a tea as well, it gives you that sense that everything's going to be okay. It's not as bad as I think it is or I feel it is. It really is one of those herbs that brightens you up, but at the same time, it gives you a sense of relaxation, a sense of peace. It has lots of other properties, but I'm not going to get into all of them. I just want to leave it at that because again, I'm encouraging you to use these particular herbs, these three herbs, because of the time that we're living in right now. Oh, magically, the magical properties of Melissa, of lemon balm, are this. They help, or it helps promote success in fertility and happiness and healing, and it repels illness. So you may not just want to drink it in a tea or buy a tincture of it. You may even want to put it in a pillow. And you can do that also with the lavender and chamomile, but particularly the lavender. You can make a little herb pillow for yourself and tuck it underneath your pillow, your bed pillow at night. And it will help repel illness. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. Just those three herbs, and that's all I'm going to tell you about them for now. Because again, my hope is to encourage you to use these herbs for relaxation and to find a sense of peace. And also, you can research them yourself. You can learn more about these herbs. It's really beautiful. And please don't just go online and look them up, but get yourself there's so many beautiful herbal books out there. There's so many beautiful herbals, as we call them, that list herbs, the names of the herbs and their properties and what they're used for. So I encourage you to research herbs that way or talk to an herbalist that you know. Please don't just go online because anybody can put any information on the internet and they don't have to have any training or skills or anything like that. And they can copy and paste from someone else's page or, anything. So you wanna get your knowledge from someone who has experience, someone who has, done the work, done the training, and has worked with these herbs, rather than just finding a site that thinks that they're really cool or they're cute and, this is something interesting to know. So, yeah. So please explore those herbs and I'll add a little bit of energy, a little bit more besides the magical properties. I'll add a little bit of the energy knowledge. And again, in saying that, we are part of nature. We have a very deep connection, as any herbalist will tell you. We have a very deep connection with plants, very, very deep. It's palpable when you spend time with plants. You feel it deeply. They speak to you. They tell you things. Plants tell you things that you need to know. They're so very wise. So I encourage you to get out in nature, spend some time with plants, and just be quiet and listen. Listen to what they have to tell you. It is now time to end this very first, the inaugural episode of Woman on Her Path. Please stay tuned for future episodes and more deliciousness about how women can walk, skip, or even dance on her path. My plan is to release 2 episodes per month to start. And of course, if you found this show useful, interesting, or just a way to spend some time, please share it with others. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me at womanonherpath@gmail.com. I wish you all the love and empowerment that you could possibly encounter on your path, and I can't wait to reconnect with you again. Thank you so much for listening to this show. I hope you found something useful. Like everything in life, we can take what we need and leave the rest. Please feel free to contact me with comments or questions at womanonherpath@gmail.com.